Hello, welcome to August 5th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation exercise. This is something that I do each and every morning, just after waking up. It's now 4:44 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did applying these objectives and principles to the various challenges and opportunities that I encountered. I also think about the coming day to try to forecast where I might be able to improve the day and weather the challenges. I just realized I was going to do something today. I was going to, maybe there's still time. I was going to use the board here to lay out some of the items for the day. I'll do that when I get there. If I can, I don't have any. It's a good day to do it because I don't have any meetings. It's a Saturday. Oh, but first, let's open with a poem. Put that aside for now. First, we'll read yesterday's poem through, and then we'll read a new poem. Okay, yesterday's poem was called. It's by John Keats. Old Meg was a gypsy. Old Meg, she was a gypsy, and lived upon the moors. Her bed, it was the brown heath turf, and her house was out of doors. Her apples were swart blackberries, her currants pods o' broom. Her wine was dew o' the wild white rose, her book a churchyard tomb. I like that. Her brothers were the craggy hills, her sisters larchen trees. Alone with her great family, she lived as she did please. No breakfast had she many a morn, no dinner many a noon. Instead of supper she would stare full hard against the moon. But every morn of woodbine fresh she made her garlanding, and every night the dark glen yew she wove and she would sing. And with her fingers old and brown she plaited mates o' rushes, and gave them to the cottagers she met among the bushes. Old Meg was brave as Margaret Queen, and tall as Amazon. An old red blanket cloak she wore, a chip hat had she on. God rest her aged bones, somewhere she died full long ago. Agone. That's a good word, agone. I like that. Okay, for today's poem, there's no study. It's a long poem. Usually I skip the long poems in the book. The book is rife with tiny little short, sonnets, and then big long ones. But this one's like 3.5 pages. But it looks interesting, so I'm going to read it. I haven't really read it through. I just started it before. I don't see too many challenging vocabulary. I think we can just do it. Let's just take a running start and go. Here we go. It's called A Song About Myself. See if I can pick up the rhythm here. There was a naughty boy was he. He would not stop at home, he could not quite be. He took in his knapsack a book full of vowels, and a shirt with some towels, a slight cap for nightcap, a hairbrush, comb ditto, new stockings for old ones, would split this knapsack tight at's back. He riveted close, and followed his nose to the north, and followed his nose to the north. There was a naughty boy, and a naughty boy was he, for nothing would he do but scribble poetry. He took an inkstand in his hand, and a pen big as 10 in the other, and away in a pother he ran to the mountains and fountains and ghosties and posties and witches and ditches, and wrote in his coat, when the weather was cool, fear of gout, and without. When the weather was warm, ouch, the charm. When we chose to follow one's nose to the north, to follow one's nose to the north. There was a naughty boy, and a naughty boy was he. He kept little fishes in washing tubs 3, in spite of the night, of the maid, nor afraid of his granny good. He often would hurly-burly get up early and go by hook or crook to the brook and bring home miller's thumb, tittlebat, not over fat, minnow small as a stall of a glove, not above the size of a nice little baby's little finger. Oh, he made, 'twas his trade, of fish a pretty kettle, a kettle, a kettle, of fish a pretty kettle, a kettle. There was a naughty boy, and a naughty boy was he. He ran away to Scotland, the people for to see. For he found that the ground was as hard, that a yard was as long, that a song was as merry, that a cherry was as red, that lead was as weighty, that 80 was as 80, that a door was as wooden as in England. So he stood in his shoes, and he wondered, he stood in his shoes, and he wondered. I love that poem. What a delight. It's like coming and hiking in a mountain in the evening and coming around the corner and finding some astonishing sunset scene. It just besparkles. And there's the light and the sounds, maybe. That's what that poem was to me. Delicious. Okay, let's do it. Okay, last night and yesterday. Yesterday was a bit of a challenging day. It was a Friday on. I did my work. I did my work. I did my duty. I had a couple of challenges. I won't go into the details. But I wasn't the best man that I know I can be. I can do better. This isn't the right venue to talk about this, because it involves interpersonal communication. And I didn't do anything bad. I just wasn't as good as I could be. I could be more mature. I have to figure it out. Just in a nutshell, there's just a personality that I don't know how to work with. They strike me. I have a difficulty with them. So I need to figure this out. Because there's no getting away from this until I retire. Maybe focus on that. No, it doesn't work. I tried yesterday. It didn't work. I could have done better. Otherwise, the day was good. No particular challenges or opportunities to think about. Let's do the good life. 7 objectives. To be always ready to die. To make good and effective use of time. To develop and maintain good and sound life principles. To cultivate good emotional reactions. To perform good actions. To recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. To do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Now for the 32 principles. And by the way, these objectives and principles are all listed in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. I call this the Good Life Creed, a nod to the Stoics. 34 principles. The tools that I use to achieve my objectives are as follows. War, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, social principle, principle of family, public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born, the home of good and the feast of offal, distraction, agency and the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, Nothing is enough. And the principle of fun. That felt like I went fast. Too fast, maybe. It's all right. Okay, now for today, what's in store? It's a Saturday. So I'll do poem. Just did that. The Good Life meditation, which I'm doing now. I'll read the Bible. Reading in the book of Matthew today. I'll edit a page of Freeway Bible Study, one of my books that I'm working on editing. Then I'll feed the dogs. Then I'll do a blog post. And then I'll catch up on my YouTube comments. Responding to comments on YouTube. I catch up on all of them every day. Never let a day go without responding to all. Then I'll work on responding to meta comments, social media. Then I'll catch up on email. That should take me to about 7 a.m., 6:30, 7 a.m. By then I'll go to the beach and do the going alone book reading. Then I'll go for a swim. Then I'll come home and I'll clean house. Then Yumiko and I will go shopping. And then my day will be free. That should take us all the way to 2 or 3 p.m. After that, I think my day will be my own, and I'll probably spend the rest of the day either in the garden reading or somewhere. Maybe take a walk with a book or something like that. I'm sure I'll spend the time reading, which is my thing. Okay, now the next piece of this exercise is to consider my life. Maybe get this board back. Maybe it can help me. My life story. What is my life story at this point? So far in my life, the story has been childhood, which was wholly undeliberate, right? I mean, in terms of control, I was just being raised. So if I was to give it a scale, a 1 from 0 to 10 in terms of self-direction, so to speak. Although, I don't think free will is a thing at all. Youth, that would take me through college. Far more directed. I'd give it a 3, though. Still, largely on autopilot. I'd say the decade of the 20s, maybe a 4. 30s, a 4. 40s, a 5. 50s, I'd say a 6. Going into the 60s, a 7. Definitely an interesting little scale, impromptu scale coming up from the seasons of life in terms of self-direction, right? The ability to take control and to guide my life accordingly, right? It really tells me that these early decades were really just me on, following the script of biology. And I saw that yesterday. I was at the beach and watching young couples bond, young families, and I was thinking, you guys are just all following the script, right? There's a couple sitting right behind me, a young couple all laughing and happy. And I was thinking, this is nature just grooming you to become mates and have children and go through all of that, right? It's what we do. I mean, it's how we survive. So in that story arc, clearly for the first, if I was under 5 in terms of self-control, direction, all the way through the 30s, that's half my life. Half my life on autopilot. Only began to take some measure of control in the 40s and beyond, and now I'm still at only a 7. I don't know if I can ever get higher than that. What am I going to do with this story from now? Well, I'm going to wind down. I mean, it's not even a friggin', I won't even be 61 when I retire. And then I'm done with the 9 to 5 and the possibilities, right? I mean, a lot of people, though, they get to this point and the possibilities go wah, 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 because they don't know what to do. They haven't exercised it. They didn't practice. I saw an interview with the guy in Japan. He's 60 years old, retired, and he said that he has nothing to do all day but walk with his dog, which sounds pretty good to me. I watched another video of a guy in Japan, walking in the mountains behind his house, and he couldn't get up past the farm roads. He couldn't do it. He just felt so uncomfortable. He was scared up there. Yeah, it's interesting. I know people. You get locked in. I mean, it's really good to break it to break those molds. Okay, sure. These decades I was self-guided. I mean, I wasn't very self-guided, but the little bit that I did, whatever constituted that 1, 2, 3, and 4, I did break the bounds and the mold and set out on my own. So I think that precedent is set. Still, I'm kind of talking about everything but the story. What is the story? The story now at this point in my life is walking and thinking and reading and writing. Walking, thinking, reading, writing. I like that. So my story is walking. Let's do an anagram. Thinking, reading, writing. That's W-T-R-R. W. There's no vowels in there. Water. That doesn't spell anything. Walking, thinking, reading, writing. Walking, thinking, reading, writing. Walking, thinking, reading, writing, sharing. Let's put an S in there. That still, it needs some vowels. I should ask ChatGPT to take those consonants and form them into add a few vowels and come up with an acronym that I can remember. But I think I did. Yeah, I think I summarized it. My story then is walking, thinking, reading, writing, sharing. This is start. That was fun. The last thing to do is to ask myself, am I ready to die? Absolutely. My affairs in order, my relationships are sound, and my life's work is done. There's no more to say. I wish you all the best. My life now is done, if not finished, and I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. That's a good ending. See ya.